is thick, heavy, and cold, tasting of damp concrete and forgotten things. Mist clings to everything, swallowing the sounds of the nearby highway, leaving only a profound, humming silence. It's the kind of quiet that feels alive, like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting. Before me looms the corpse of a shopping mall, a relic of a time when this place was the heart of a community. Now, its glass doors are shattered, gaping wounds reflecting the dying light. A faded, peeling sign, mall closed, creaks rhythmically on a single hinge, a lonely metronome counting out the seconds in this abandoned world. It doesn't just say closed, it feels like a warning. I step over the threshold, and the temperature drops. The sound of my own footsteps echoes unnaturally loud in the vast, cavernous space. The air inside is stale, a mix of dust decay, and the faintest, ghost-like scent of popcorn and perfume. Light struggles to pierce the grime-caked skylights, casting long, distorted shadows that dance and twists in my peripheral vision. It feels like stepping into a photograph from the past, only the colors have all washed out, leaving only shades of gray in the deep, unsettling black of the unlit storefronts. Everywhere I look, there are signs of a hasty retreat. A lone, dusty high heel lies on its side in front of what used to be a shoe store. Faded advertisements for movies that came out decades ago hang in tatters. In the center of the main atrium sits a carousel, its painted horses frozen mid-gallop. Their once bright colors now muted under a thick blanket of dust. Their glass eyes seem to follow me as I walk past. The silence here is different from the outside. It's a layered silence, filled with the ghosts of laughter, music, and the distant murmur of thousands of conversations, all cut short. I make my way toward the food court. The neon signs are dark, but my mind fills in the blanks, imagining the vibrant glow of Pizza Palace or Walk and Roll. Overturned tables and chairs litter the area like forgotten chess pieces after a long-abandoned game. A child's sippy cup lies on the floor, a poignant reminder of the life that once filled these halls. As I navigate the debris, a sudden noise shatters the stillness, a metallic clang from the far end of the corridor. My heart hammers against my ribs. I freeze, listening, straining to hear anything over the sound of my own blood rushing in my ears. Was it just the building settling, or something else? The sound doesn't repeat. I tell myself it's just the wind, the old structure groaning under its own weight. But the feeling of being watched intensifies. Every dark doorway feels like an eye, every shadow a potential figure. This mall isn't just empty, it feels expectant. It's a stage waiting for actors who will never return, a vessel holding on to the echoes of a million moments. And as I stand here, alone in the heart of this decaying giant, I can't shake the feeling that I've intruded on something, a private memory that hasn't finished playing out. The story of this place isn't over. It's just waiting, here in the dark. Thanks for watching, and if you're fascinated by the stories hidden in forgotten places, make sure to subscribe for more explorations. See you next time. Okay, let's keep moving. The air in here is thick, heavy. You can almost taste the dust. It's been a long time since anyone walked these halls. Look at this place. It's like a time capsule from a forgotten world. The emergency lights are flickering on and off, casting these long, dancing shadows that play tricks on your eyes. One minute you see a storefront. The next, it's just a dark void. It's deeply unsettling. The silence is the worst part, though. It's not just quiet. It's a dead silence, broken only by the hum of the failing lights and the sound of my own breathing. Everything is frozen. The escalators are stopped mid-climb, a silent testament to a sudden end. You can almost picture the chaos. People rushing. Then nothing. Just this stillness. It feels wrong, like holding your breath for too long. My gut is screaming that something isn't right here. It's a feeling that crawls up your spine, a primal instinct telling you to turn back. But curiosity is a powerful thing, isn't it? We have to know what happened. We have to see what's at the heart of this place. Let's check out some of these stores. This one looks like it was a high-end clothing shop. The mannequins are still in the windows, draped in clothes that were once fashionable. Now, they're just covered in this thick blanket of gray dust. They look like ghostly figures, frozen in poses, watching us. It's unnerving how human they look in the dim light. You half expect them to turn their heads as you walk by. Every shadow looks like a person. Every distant shape feels like it's watching. My heart is pounding in my chest. It's the feeling of being hunted, but there's nothing there. It's the unseen threat that's the most terrifying. What happened here? Was it a disaster? The place was just abandoned. Everything was left behind. Handbags on display, half-dressed mannequins, sales signs still hanging. It's like everyone vanished in an instant. This whole mall is a mausoleum, a monument to a moment in time that just stopped. There are no signs of a struggle, no obvious damage apart from the decay of time. It's just empty, an empty, silent world sealed away from the sun. The further we go, the darker it gets. The emergency lights are becoming less frequent now, leaving long stretches of corridor in near total blackness. We're relying purely on our flashlights now, cutting through the oppressive dark. The beams just seem to get swallowed up. It feels like the darkness itself is a living thing, pressing in from all sides. What could be hiding in these shadows? What lurks in the stores we can't see into? The feeling of being watched is getting stronger, more intense. It's not just a feeling anymore. It feels like a certainty. There's a presence here, something ancient and patient. We need to be careful. Every step echoes in this vast, dead space, announcing our presence to whatever might be listening. Let's keep pushing forward, but stay alert. There's a story here, and I'm determined to uncover it, no matter how deep into the dark we have to go. Thanks for sticking with me on this journey. If you're as intrigued as I am, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what we find next. The food court was a symphony of chaos, just like any other Tuesday. Trays clattered, conversations buzzed, and the smell of 100 different meals hung heavy in the air. I was just trying to find an empty table, wrestling with my tray in a backpack that seemed determined to take out an innocent bystander. My gaze swept across the sea of faces, a blur of strangers all lost in their own little worlds. Then it happened. A crackle from above, cutting through the noise like a razor. It was a ceiling speaker, the kind that usually plays terrible instrumental music or announces a lost child. But this was different. The static cleared, and a voice spoke. It wasn't a pre-recorded announcement. It was calm, clear, and unnervingly human. It said, "You're late, Daniel." My blood ran cold. The tray slipped from my suddenly numb fingers, crashing to the floor with a deafening clatter of plastic and spilled soda. No one seemed to notice. The world around me faded into a muffled hum. My breath hitched in my throat, each inhale a ragged, desperate gasp. My name. It said my name. I stumbled back, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I looked up at the speaker, a small, unassuming circle in the ceiling tiles, now the source of a primal fear I'd never known. My vision swam. The camera of my mind was shaking, unable to focus. It felt like the entire food court was tilting, the walls closing in. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a coincidence. The voice was too real to direct. It was a voice that knew me, a voice that was waiting for me. And the calm, almost casual way it had spoken my name was more terrifying than any shout could ever be. It was the sound of a carefully laid trap finally snapping shut. I was no longer just a guy looking for lunch. I was prey, the personal fear. The kind that whispers your name in a crowded room and makes you feel utterly, terrifyingly alone, had just begun. The buzz of the food court was gone, replaced by the frantic drumming in my ears. Who was it? What did they want? And what was I late for? Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my feet were cemented to the floor. I was a statue in a storm of my own making, my world reduced to a single, chilling realization. I was being watched. My life, as I knew it, had just ended. And whatever came next, I had a terrifying feeling I was not prepared for it. The fear was a living thing now, coiling in my stomach, its icy tendrils spreading through every vein. I was trapped, not by walls or gates, but by two simple words spoken from the heavens of a shopping mall. "You're late, Daniel." The voice echoed in my head, a death knell disguised as a casual observation. I was no longer in control. My carefully constructed reality had been shattered by a disembodied voice in a food court, and the chilling part was, it sounded like it was just getting started. I needed to move, to do something, anything, but all I could do was stand there, breathing heavily, as the world I thought I knew dissolved around me. The fear was no longer just a feeling. It was the only thing that was real. We shouldn't have come here. This was a mistake. We found the old cinema, just like the legends said, tucked away behind the abandoned mall. But it's not abandoned. There's something in here with us. We were just walking down this hallway, the one leading to the main theater, when it started. A voice. It wasn't loud, just a whisper. But it felt like it was inside my head. Eat new things. It whispered a lullaby my grandmother used to sing to me, a song I haven't heard in 20 years. Then it called out Sierra's name. Not just her name, but her childhood nickname, the one only her parents used. She froze. Her face went completely white. She asked if we heard it, and we all nodded, too scared to speak. The voice didn't stop. It started talking about Mark's fear of spiders, describing the time he got trapped in the shed as a kid. How could it know that? Mark started hyperventilating, backing away, telling us it's impossible. But the voice, it just laughed. A cold, chilling laugh that echoed down the long, dark corridor. It felt like it was everywhere at once. It knew our deepest, most private secrets, the ones we've never told anyone. It was peeling back layers of our minds we thought were safe. We were completely exposed, vulnerable. This thing, whatever it is, it's not just in the building. It's inside our heads. It knows us. We're not just trespassing in a physical space. We've trespassed into something else, something ancient and hungry for our fears. The air got so cold, I could see my breath. The smell of decay and old popcorn was replaced by something else, something metallic and sweet, like old blood. That's when Josh dropped the camera. The sound of it hitting the grimy floor was like a gunshot in the silence. The light from the camera flickered, casting our long, distorted shadows against the peeling walls. For a second, just a split second in the flickering light, I thought I saw a shape at the far end of the hall. Tall, thin, and unnaturally still. Before I could even scream, the whispering started again. But this time it was different. It wasn't just in our heads anymore. It was coming from right behind us. A dry, rasping sound, like dead leaves skittering across pavement. It whispered my name. We didn't wait to see what it was. We just ran. We bolted back the way we came, our footsteps echoing manically, a chaotic drumbeat of pure terror. The whispering followed us. It wasn't chasing. It was keeping pace, a constant, mocking presence at our heels. It was telling me about the nightmare I had last night. Every single detail. We burst out of the hallway, back into the main lobby, but the feeling of being watched, of being known, didn't leave. The exit door seemed miles away. The whispers are still there, even now, a faint murmur on the edge of hearing. I don't think we're ever going to be truly alone again. Leaving this place doesn't mean we've escaped. It knows us. And I think it's coming with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see what happens next. Stay safe out there. The city lights smeared past the car window, a kaleidoscope of neon and shadow that did nothing to soothe the frantic rhythm of my heart. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see flashing lights, half expecting something much worse. But the road behind us was empty, just a ribbon of dark asphalt disappearing into the night. The silence in the car was heavy, thick with unspoken questions and the lingering scent of stale popcorn and something metallic, like old coins. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. We had made it out. That was the only thought that mattered, the only one I allowed to take root in the chaos of my mind. We were out. We'd been in that mall for what felt like an eternity, trapped in a maze of shuttered storefronts and echoing, empty food courts. The air had grown thin, heavy with a sense of wrongness that clung to everything. It wasn't just abandoned, it was waiting. We moved like ghosts through the cavernous halls, our footsteps swallowed by the oppressive silence. Every flicker of the emergency lights, every distant groan of the building settling, sent a fresh jolt of adrenaline through me. We weren't just lost. We were being watched. I couldn't explain it, but the feeling was as real as the cold sweat on my skin. It was a predatory stillness, the kind that precedes a storm. We had to get out. Finding the exit was a nightmare. The familiar layout of the mall had twisted into an unrecognizable labyrinth. Escalators led to dead ends. Corridors circled back on themselves, and the directory map showed a geography that no longer existed. Panic was a physical thing, a tight band around my chest. We ran, our breath coming in ragged gasps, following signs that seemed to mock us, leading us deeper into the decay. The further we went, the stronger the feeling grew. A palpable presence just beyond our line of sight, a pressure in the air that made my teeth ache. It wasn't just a place, it was a trap. Finally, we saw it, a sliver of moonlight under a set of double doors. The sign above it was dark, but we knew it was an exit. We sprinted, the hope so fierce it was painful. We threw our shoulders against the heavy steel, again and again, our grunts and curses echoing in the vast, dead space behind us. For a moment, I thought we were trapped for good. Another cruel joke in this concrete purgatory. Then, with a deafening screech of tortured metal, the lock gave way. The doors burst open, slamming against the outer walls with a crack that sounded like a gunshot. We stumbled out into the cool night air, gasping, collapsing onto the pavement of the empty parking lot. The sudden return of the world was disorienting. The distant hum of traffic, the chirping of crickets, the blinking lights of a faraway tower, it was all so beautifully, wonderfully normal. We were safe. We were free. We laughed, a hysterical, breathless sound of pure relief. We scrambled to our feet and ran for the car, not looking back. Not daring. I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking so badly it took 3 tries to get the engine to turn over. The headlights cut through the darkness, and we peeled out of that parking lot, leaving the monstrous silhouette of the mall behind us. I looked at my friend in the passenger seat, a wide, relieved grin spreading across my face. We did it. We actually did it. We escaped. And then, a voice. It wasn't from the radio, which was off. It wasn't my friend, who was still catching their breath. It was soft, a whisper that seemed to come from right behind my ear, yet filled the entire car. It was calm, chillingly casual, and it sliced through my relief like a shard of ice. You forgot something. My smile vanished. My blood ran cold. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screaming on the asphalt. The car skidded to a stop in the middle of the empty road. I didn't dare look in the rearview mirror. I didn't dare look in the back seat. We hadn't escaped. We had just brought the nightmare with us. The next morning, the sun felt like an accusation. I was sitting in a sterile, white room at the police station. A styrofoam cup of terrible coffee shaking in my hand. Across from me, a detective with tired eyes named Miller was fast-forwarding through hours of security footage from the mall. He'd been skeptical at first. Another kid with a wild story about a haunted mall. But the sheer terror in my eyes must have convinced him to at least check. My friends. They were all still missing. The official story was a gas leak, a building-wide evacuation, but I knew the truth. I had seen what happened. I'd stammered through my account, describing the mannequins that moved, the whispers that echoed from empty storefronts, the way the escalators ran backwards, pulling people down into darkness. I told him about the food court, how the smiling mascot statues turned their heads to watch us. He listened patiently, his expression unreadable. We watched the footage from the main entrance. Tere were a group of laughing teenagers, pushing through the doors just before closing time. Just as I'd said, we split up, promising to meet at the fountain in an hour. The cameras followed us for a while, just normal shoppers in a near-empty mall. 10. Static. One by one, the camera feeds went black. Mila sighed, rubbing his temples. "Look, kid," he started, his voice gentle. "There's nothing here. The system probably shorted out. It happens." "No," I insisted, my voice cracking. "Keep looking. Check the access logs." The doors. Something locked us in. He gave me a look, a mix of pity and annoyance, but turned back to his computer. He clicked a few times, pulling up a different screen symbol, text-based log of the mall's security system. My heart hammered against my ribs. He scrolled down, his finger tracing the lines of code. Then he stopped. His whole body went still. He leaned closer to the monitor, his eyes widening. He pointed a trembling finger at a single line of text. I leaned in to see. It was a timestamp from 2 full hours before we had even arrived at the mall. Next to it were 2 words, glowing in stark green font against the black background. Access granted. A cold dread, colder than anything I'd felt inside the mall. Was said over me. It wasn't that we were locked in. It was that we were let in. The mall had been waiting for us. It had opened its doors specifically for our arrival. We weren't trespassers. We were invited guests. We were the main event. Milla scrolled to the very last piece of available footage, a single camera from a deserted corridor on the top floor. The image was grainy, but clear. The hallway was completely empty. Nothing moved. But then, as we watched, the camera, fixed to the ceiling, began to turn. It wasn't a glitch, not a shake. It was a slow, deliberate pan, as if an unseen head was turning to survey its domain. The camera swiveled, its electronic eye sweeping across the silent, empty storefronts, before finally, slowly, turning to look directly at us, at the lens, as if it knew we were watching. The screen went black. The mall was not just a place. It was a predator, and it was still hungry.